And who am I? That's not a secret I'll never tell. You know you love me. XOXO. Gossip Girl.
What's up? We got Gossip Girl, Season 2, Episode 3, The Dark Knight. This episode starts off with Chuck day drinking, Jenny working, and Blair and Serena making out in the street. Meanwhile, at the Waldorf, Blair tries to seduce Marcus into finally consummating their relationship. However, he shuts her down hard before things going far, and reasons that he wants the moment they do to be special. He encourages her to finish planning her back to school party. Disappointed, she settles for his explanation. Elsewhere on the streets, Jane's on the phone with Vanessa while we're back to Eleanor's atelier, and gives her advice on what to do with Nate. She tells her to call and ask him out, but Vanessa is skeptical of the idea and takes her advice to call him. While shopping at Ralph Lauren with Catherine, during their conversation, he asks her out for later, and she says yeah. However, Catherine overhears a bit. She calls him, and while he's shopping at Ralph Lauren's with Catherine. During their conversation, he asks her out for later, and she says yeah. However, Catherine hears a little bit of this conversation and grows suspicious when Nate lies and says it was his mom. However, Dan and Serena debate telling everyone they're back together. Serena suggests they do so at Blair's party, and Dan eventually succumbs to the idea when he says yes, and she kisses him. However, unbeknownst to them, a random passerby or girl just takes a picture of them and sends it to Gossip Girl. Like, why do these people not have any better to do with their day than take pictures of two random people and send it to Gossip Girl? Like, what are these people? Like, in season 1, episode 1 of Gossip Girl, we learned Gossip Girl had a source, but that never came back again. So are these people who take pictures of them other sources? We'll never know. But if they're not, then why would you take picture of two people just making out? These people who take these pictures of Dan and Serena and send them to Gossip Girl probably don't have anything better to do with their lives than take a picture of two people making out. Everyone receives the fly, but no one is surprised by the news. At the law, Jane is over the moon with the news. Rufus finds out and asks Dan if they've worked out all their issues. Dan lies that they have. Later, Nate and Vanessa take a walk together. They wind up back outside his own townhouse and asks when he can see her again. She says at night, and Nate remembers he has a party to attend with Anne. She asks about having a lunch, and he realizes, he has a date with Catherine. Disappointed, Vanessa tells him never mind, and he answers they will reschedule. However, unbeknownst to them this time, Catherine is watching them from across the street. Obviously jealous. Next at the Waldorf, Serena helps Blair prepare for the party. While they plan, she tries to conserve her relationship with Dan. Blair isn't interested about it and tells Serena that until the two of them talk about why they broke up, in the first place, the relationship is doomed. Offended, Serena leaves just as Blair gets a call from Catherine, who is looking for intel on Vanessa. Blair, of course, gives it to her because Blair doesn't like Vanessa either. So, after Vander Woodson, Nate arrives to Chuck and asks for a loan. Chuck hears him out and then turns him down, saying that he sent the money he would give to his financial advisor and is now tied up. Nate tells him not to worry about it and asks if he's okay. Chuck admits that he's been feeling a little off his game, but that should be coming to an end very soon. The building concierge then arrives in the penthouse, escorting a woman from Tokyo to see Chuck. At the Waldorf, Eleanor is panicking about getting everything ready for Eleanor's arrival that day. Jenny finishes the dress model she's working on, then she feels that the look isn't right. She calls Laurel over, who disagrees and says the dress is fine. She then instructs Jane to dress and not make any commentary, and walks away. Elsewhere outside, Dan and Serena are taking a walk. Serena complains that Blair's lack of support due to them not talking about issues. Dan doesn't reply, and Serena steps aside to take a phone call from Lily. He notes they were saved by the bell. While on she's phone, they are stopped by 3 little girls who become regular recurring characters on this show. One is a Serena knockoff, the other one is a Blair knockoff. They're literally kid versions of Serena and Blair who come up to Dan and saying why would he literally criticize him. And it's like, why would you listen to these kids, Dan? Why would you? Of course he doesn't. But still, who would want to listen to 3 kids come up to you? These kids become recurring characters. I remember these kids become recurring characters, so this is not the last time we'll see Mini Blair and Mini Serena. But still, why would you listen to kids? Yeah, these kids. These 3 young girls, these 3 little girls come up who are, of course, Dan and Blair and Serena, Mini Blair and Serena's, and who criticize them for getting back together with Serena. When the call is over, Serena justifiably tells the girls to get out, to go away, because who would want who's trying to figure out your relationship with your ex, and then 3 little girls come in being like, yo, Dan, how dare you break up with, how dare you get back together with Dan? And Serena, how dare you, after what we did with Georgina? And then Serena's like, just get out of here, kids. We don't want to listen to you. Yeah, literally. Who would listen to these little girls? Who would? Good. But they become recurring characters. They become the criticizers of the show. Whenever a character's having contemplation, these 3 little girls show up to criticize them for why are they making the choices they're making. They're annoying kids, and I don't like them. Mini Blair and Mini Serena are now a part of the show's recurring cast. And amidst the sorry for my rant. I just don't like these kids. I just don't like Mini Blair and Mini Serena. I like regular Blair and regular Serena. But these Mini Blair and Serena knockoffs, they become recurring criticized characters. And Serena shoos these little girls away, and then admits to Dan that they should do something. They have something to discuss. He agrees, and they awkwardly make plans to talk before Blair's party. At the art gallery, Vanessa has coffee with Nate. He gets a text from Catherine and wonders where he is. Vanessa notices that he's distracted and chalks up to a lot going on. Then Blair enters the gallery and invites Nate to come to her party and bring Vanessa as a guest. Vanessa excuses herself to accept her delivery. Nate asks Blair what she's up to, and she says that she isn't going to sit back and watch Nate have an affair with her boyfriend's stepmother, and that she's trying to use Vanessa as a distraction. Vanessa re-enters the room, and Nate confirms that, they're both going to Blair's party. Just to get back at Blair for doing that. Blair leaves and calls Catherine from the outside and informs her that Nate is bringing Vanessa to the party that night. After the interwoods, Chuck sends money to the woman from Tokyo and runs into Serena. He admits that he hasn't been able to perform sexually for the past week. She says that he's not over Blair, and he realizes she might be onto something, and then he announces that he's gonna sleep with Blair, just get himself working again, and then congratulations for getting back with Dan. Not gonna work well, Chuck. You think that I guess story, what did you do, story? You just gave Chuck a plan, which is obviously going to backfire on him. At the Waldorf design, Jenny gives her best honest opinions to the model, including the dress is trying too hard. However, Eleanor enters the atelier and overhears her commentary. She's shocked that Jenny's She's shocked at Jane's bluntness, sends the model home, and Eleanor, shocked at Jane's bluntness, sends the model home and then fires Jane. So yeah, Jane just lost her job. Meanwhile, Nate runs into Marcus, who's on a run. Marcus happens to mention that Catherine is staying at the party too, and that she's become fast friends with Blair. While he's gone, Nate calls Vanessa and lies over voicemail that he isn't going to Blair's anymore due to family issues. At the law, Vanessa tells Rufus in on Nate's mysteriousness. Dan then emerges from his room and tells Vanessa to leave to leave first, and then she'll see him there. He leaves. Vanessa tells him to leave first. Rufus suggests that Vanessa call Nate and ask what's going on, or pretend that she forgot her phone at the gallery and act like she never got his message. At the Waldorf, Chuck attempts to seduce Blair and almost succeeds. However, she catches on and walks away. Because again, why would his plan work? At the Vanderwoods, Dan arrives to pick up Serena, and they act awkwardly around one another. On their way to the elevator, the lights begin to flicker. Back at the Waldorf, Nate arrives and confronts Blair about setting up Vanessa. She doesn't deny it, and then Catherine appears. She pulls Nate into a room and informs him that she doesn't like sharing her toys, especially when she paid them. Shakes his hand, which Vanessa witnesses, and puts it together just as the penthouse gets dark. Nate tries to follow Vanessa while Blair calms everyone down. Back at the Vanderwoods, Nate and Serena are stuck in the elevator, and at the Waldorf signs, Jane gets stuck in the dark. Blair informs everyone that there's a citywide blackout, and they have candles, so it will be okay. Meanwhile, Nate finds Marcus trying to talk to Vanessa, leaving during a blackout, and walks her to the dining room. He tries to explain that Catherine's situation to sleeping with her for money because he has no other option. Vanessa mulls it over and asks him to tell her everything. In the foyer, Catherine asks Blair if she's seen Nate. She says no. Catherine says that she saw him go off with Vanessa. Blair brushes it off and reminds Catherine that her obsession with Nate is a little cliche. Catherine retorts that she knows Blair is sacrificing one important thing she wants in order to be with Marcus, and she will never have to be without forever. And knowingly, she finishes that Nate makes her feel alive. Catherine finishes that Nate makes her feel alive before walking away. Back at the Vanderwoods, Dan uses the elevator phone to call down the front deck. He learns that there's a citywide blackout and they have to wait it out. Serena admits that she should have mentioned that she was in the elevator with him, and Dan calls down again to tell them. At the atelier, Jane tells Eleanor Serena admits that he should have mentioned she was in the elevator with him, and Dan calls down again to tell them. At the atelier, Jane tells Eleanor that she's leaving, but Eleanor says she can stay until the lights come back on, and orders her to make herself useful and hold a flashlight while she's working. Jane offers her opinion on the caller, and Eleanor realizes Jane's absolutely right. Back at the Waldorf, Nate finishes Vanessa, and she asks him if he wants to be with Catherine. He says he doesn't, and he wants to be with Vanessa. She encourages him to end it because he's better than what he's doing. He promises to wait for him once it's done. Blair jumps Marcus and tries to force him to sleep with her. She tries to kiss him and asks him to make her feel alive. Confused, he asks what she means. She tells him to meet her in the bedroom. However, Chuck overhears it and follows her upstairs. In the dining room, Catherine arrives to confront Vanessa. She informs her that she has real feelings for Nate and begins to tell her how much she wants to keep him. Upstairs, Chuck enters the room in a British accent, which is real because Chuck's actor, Ed Westwick, is actually a British actor. Well, Marcus's actor is an American. So yeah, when Chuck uses a fake British accent, that's not fake. That's his real British accent. And that's her Blair Kingdom. Ed Westwick uses his actual British accent. and asks her to blow her candle. She does so, and they begin to make out. At Walter's design, Eleanor asked Jenny about her travels during the summer, and that felt like a flat, irrelevant cheerleader. Jenny giving her rude opinions about her dress confirms her stat. Jenny apologizes, and Eleanor replies that she needed to hear that, and Jenny then explains that her first real culture dress was designed by Eleanor, and it was one of the first things that made her want to become a designer. Back at the Waldorf, we're back into Vanderwoods, and Dan Serena begins talking about their relationship. He tries to escape through the vent in the ceiling, but falls to the floor. Serena says that she forgives him for Georgina, and that he forgives her too. She realizes that they keep having the same fight, classism over and over, but it never changes anything. Back at the Waldorf, Nate goes looking for Vanessa, but finds Catherine waiting for him instead as the lights come back on. Outside, Marcus walks in on Blair and Chuck, who, of course, Westwick had to go back to using his Chuck voice, so I didn't have to explain that. I just wanted to say it. But she runs over to him and tries to explain she thought it was him because, again, Ed Westwick is a real British man, is an actual British man, while Marcus is an American man. So, of course, she made believe it was him. He ignores her and then punches Chuck before walking out. She follows him. He demands to know if she really didn't know it was Chuck. Blair hesitates for admitting that she knew it was him. Mark accuses her of only wanting for his title, but Blair insists that she wants him not to treat her like a delicate flower, but to show her he wants her. He kisses her as Chuck can never watch it. Meanwhile, Nate finds Vanessa, who tells him not to end things because Catherine really wants him. He tries to stop her, but she says she's out of it for good before leaving the party. Afterwards, Catherine comes over to him and tells him that they have a date the next day. At the atelier, Rufus and his date, which is a woman named Claire, enter to find Jane. She realizes that, of course, Rufus was on a date, and they introduce themselves. Eleanor asks what's going on, and Jane introduces her to Rufus and Claire. Rufus asks if she came with them, and Jane says she's done. Rufus interrupts and says she can't leave yet because they're still working. Jane reminds Eleanor that Eleanor fired her. Eleanor replies that she shouldn't be so dramatic, and asks Rufus and Claire to bring them sandwiches and coffee. At the Vanderwoods, and Dan are right back at the apartment and agree once they go home that the relationship is over. She kisses him one last time and steps out. He says that he still loves her, but she stops him and says she does too. Once Elver is gone, she says she loves him. To herself. Elsewhere, Chuck again with another woman, tries again with another woman, but fails. He realizes that he isn't over Blair yet, and that's why. In Brooklyn, Vanessa shares Nate's story with Dan, including the part where Catherine threatened to tell the FBI where Nate's dad is hiding if he ever leaves her. Yep, and that's where the episode ends. So, yeah, Catherine threatened Vanessa that if she and Nate broke up, she would expose Nate's father's location to the authorities. So that's why Vanessa was like, yeah, stay with Catherine. Because she now in fear of Catherine might do if Nate leaves her. So yeah, interesting. So literally, that's why she told Nate to stay. Even though she told Nate earlier to leave Catherine, she's now telling her to stay with her. She's now telling Nate to stay with Catherine in fear for what Catherine will do to Nate's fault, what the FBI will do to Nate's dad. We're never going to see Nate's dad this season. But still, anyway, aside from that, I guess. But anyway, yeah. And the fact that Ed Westwick, who plays Chuck, used his literal British accent in this episode, well, again, Marcus's actor is using a fake British accent. Isn't like, I didn't even know it was Ed Westwick's actual British accent until I looked it up. But still, that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time for episode 4 of Gossip Girl season 2, The X-Files. But remember, you know you love me. XOXO, Gossip Girl.